Warm Bodies came out in the year 2013 and features the likes of Nicholas Hoult, Teresa Palmer, Dave Franco and none other than John Malkovich. This movie is a zombie apocalypse movie from the point of view of zombies, in which this movie goes through the likes of their feelings, their day-to-day duties, and you see this through the eyes of a guy, the main character called R, in which he's adapting to a new life of becoming a zombie, and he's sort of like in between zombie and in between human sort of thing, because he still has that little bit of humanity left in him, as seen when he bumps into a group of survivors and immediately has these feelings that he shouldn't have and hasn't probably had in a while, which is the feelings of love, as he falls in love with a girl called Julie after killing her boyfriend, in which we'll get more onto later on in this video, as loads of feelings come back. And I'm just going to say this right now, this is not like any other zombie movie, so let's get into it. So what I liked about this movie is that it did something that I don't think any other zombie movie prior to this one had ever done or has done since, in which is tell a story about zombies from the zombie point of view. Because we all know, we've seen many zombie films, I can sit here and name them, like Shaun of the Dead, the Walking Dead series, or 28 Days Later, which are all from the survivor's point of view, in which can get boring. This movie came along and was like, no, we're doing it from the zombie point of view because they still have feelings. Hence why the main character, played by Nicholas Hoult, he still feels emotions. And he isn't like any normal zombie that you see in a typical zombie movie. He ain't just a guy that wants to eat brains and munch on people's remains and just bite people for the sake of it. This guy still has a bit of humanity left in him, and it shows that there's other zombies like him that have that little bit of humanity left in them, and this is what drives them on. And I really enjoyed that, as it was something different. And we see this more when he interacts with Julie a bit more. He basically takes her under his wing, as he feels guilty because he was like, at the beginning of the movie, he still had that zombie-like feeling along with a bit of humanity, but mostly zombie, in which is why he ate Julie's boyfriend. And then he realizes, oh shit, what have I done? As he realizes that he is actually connected to her because of the boyfriend and girlfriend. So then he feels a bit of responsibility and guilt. So then he basically goes, I've got to protect you now, in which isn't like any other zombie movie, because a zombie shouldn't be taking anybody under their wing sort of thing, or protecting a human. They should be eating him. That's why this is completely and utterly different and crazy compared to others that we want to get onto and do reviews on, like Shaun of the Dead, The Walking Dead and others. I also enjoy and like the friendship building that this movie manages to produce between R and Julie, as we see at the start of the movie that obviously one's a zombie, one's a human. The zombie should be trying to kill the human's trying to kill the zombie, going off every other zombie movie. However, right, that's how this movie starts, but that's not how the movie finishes or how this movie progresses. As like I said previously, he takes Julie under his wing and he's like, I'm going to protect you. I'm going to protect you from the rest of those zombies out of there, because I'm doing something that is hopefully getting rid of that guilt, because he feels like he owes her an apology. Even though he can't really speak, he owes her something, because he just killed her boyfriend and feels, oh shit, I've got to do something. So he decides to protect her. So you get this protective sort of zombie on human thing, which Julie didn't really like at first. She just thought, this is just strange, and I'm going to get out of here because I know what you're doing. You're probably buttering me up so then you can eat me, or you can nibble on me later on or something. So she wants to get out of there because she just thinks, this is too fucked up, I'm getting the fuck out of there. But however, over the course of this movie, that changes, because as she tries to run off a couple of times and then gets cornered by zombies and he's there to bail her out the shit, he then rides off with her in a car, wants to take her back home and things like that. But on the way, he goes to a house and they're starting to gain a bit of a friendship, not a relationship as such yet, more of a best friend. And that goes out the window when she breaks away. She goes back, but then she has emotions for him and he has emotions for her, so he sneaks into their camp. But he is a zombie, so obviously he's not gonna be treated fairly amongst the humans. But it's like a little Romeo and Juliet thing going on, and that's when John Malkovich comes in, and he's like totally against zombies, and he's like every typical character towards zombies in every other movie practically. And we'll get more into John Malkovich in a few minutes. But on Julian Thingy's relationship, he goes back to her and whatever, and they start having more of a relationship now, up until the point where it gets a little bit weird as he's a zombie and whatever. But then they find out right at the end of the movie that he has actually turned back human when he is shot by John Malkovich's character yet again, which we'll get onto within a minute. And that just epitomizes this relationship between the two. I also thought that John Malkovich's character, the General, was also brilliant, as he played the typical sort of Rick Grimes, the sort of typical Shaun out of Shaun of the Dead, the leader, the guy that's going to take this group and try to help them survive. No matter what it is, he will do it to protect the ones he loves. However, that's at the start of the movie, and probably the middle sector of the movie as well. However, towards the end of the movie, his mind changes because he's blown away by the fact that the zombies help to protect from other ghostly-like figures in which are known as skeletons, these like bony-like creatures in which are past humanity. And the zombies help to fight off these ghouly figures and help to protect the humans, which shows that zombies, all of them, still have a bit of humanity left in them. Beforehand, he probably viewed them as they're past no return and that there's no saving them. However, that's the skeletons. However, zombies have a little bit of humanity left in them. That's what he finds out, but he still doesn't fully believe what he sees. Instead, he decides to say, we still kill the zombies if we see them. That is until he comes across Julie's boyfriend, R, in which he shoots him anyways, and then he notices he bleeds normal blood. Hence why everyone's shocked, and he's shocked because he's realising that he's turned back human, and that there is a point where there is a return. There is a point where people can be reversed back to human, and this is incredible because this is a massive breakthrough in the whole zombie apocalypse, as people can become people yet again, in which not many shows and films to do with zombie apocalyptic events actually, go into the fact that there is a return, there is an antidote or something of that magnitude. Finally then, the last positive I can really point out in this movie is the actors and actresses, because you would not have a movie without the actors and actresses within this movie, as the likes of Nicholas Hoult was absolutely exceptional and brilliant in the role he portrayed, and I thought that he really showed his actor-like qualities that were needed to portray the role of R, and he portrayed that quite well, and he showed his emotion and his feelings at certain times, but really his character, that was more of Julie's character, which we'll get on to right now. As Julie, portrayed by Teresa Palmer, was also exceptional, same as R, as she was a very strong woman in this role and showed her qualities throughout this movie. And I thought she just brought the whole thing together, as she brought the romance, she brought the emotion, she brought the happiness, she brought the joy, she brought everything, and she was a very likeable character within this movie. Finally then, John Malkovich was also exceptional in this role. I wouldn't say it's his best role because I still think that's Con Air. However, he was also really, really good in this movie as well, even though he weren't in much of it in terms of likes of R and Julie. He brought the seriousness and sort of experience from all his movie career into this film, and it really showed off. and he was able to portray that sort of like villain-like sort of character without going full villain-like character in this. To summarise this movie, this is one of my favourite zombie movies now, and as a result is one that I'll watch several times after this review, and is going to be one hell of a fan favourite for me in terms of a different kind of zombie movie. Hence why I've rated this an 8.1 and a classic movie, because this will definitely be one watch more than once. So if you agree with anything I've said in this video or disagree, let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you've enjoyed this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be alerted to all the new content this channel creates, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Laters.